David Bain says he's innocent and the government has it wrong. The Justice Minister, Amy Adams, has announced today the Crown will not pay compensation to Mr Bain, but will make a one-off payment of $925,000 to reflect the time and cost of making the claim. In 1995, David Bain was convicted of murdering his mother, father and 3 siblings. However, he always maintained his innocence, and following a number of unsuccessful appeals, his conviction was quashed by the Privy Council. He was then found not guilty in a High Court retrial. He spent 13 years in prison.
In March 2010, Mr Bain lodged his application for compensation with the government, who commissioned a report from retired Canadian Judge Justice Ian Binney. That report was peer-reviewed by QC Robert Fisher, who found it to have included fundamental errors of principle such that it would be unsafe to act upon it. That finding was not accepted by Mr Bain's team. In February 2015, I reached agreement with Mr Bain that these 2 reports would be put aside and that Cabinet would take a fresh look at the claim. I subsequently appointed Mr Ian Callanan QC, a highly respected retired judge of Australia's highest court, to provide advice on Mr Bain's claim.
Amy Adams says she received Ian Callanan's final report in February. She says there have been ongoing discussions with the Bain team since then.
Today I'm releasing Mr Callanan's report, which finds that Mr Bain has not established his innocence on the balance of probabilities. The test for compensation requires that the applicant proves on the balance of probabilities that they are innocent. This is a different and higher test than the one in the courtroom on which the acquittal was based. In court, the Crown must prove guilt beyond a reasonable doubt. It is sufficient if the defence can raise reasonable doubts that they're responsible for the offence. In light of Mr Callanan's advice, and the onus being on Mr Bain, there is accordingly no basis on which Cabinet could be satisfied that Mr Bain had met the established threshold for compensation for wrongful conviction and imprisonment. Accordingly, no statement of innocence or payment of compensation under the guidelines will be made to Mr Bain.
It's Amy Adams. Outside his home in Christchurch, David Bain gave a short statement expressing his discontent.
Basically, the only thing I have to say is that Ms Adams, Ms Collins, Mr Callanan, they've all got it wrong. I am innocent. I didn't do anything that morning. I had nothing to do with this entire process, and they have got it wrong.
When did you get notification?
I'm sorry, I'm not willing to answer any questions.
Not answering any questions.
Okay. Thank you for the time.
David Bain speaking outside his house earlier.